Look at that little arrow heading up into the sky.
Nice place.
Oh, what happened? There we go. Figured out how to move the picture finally. Okay, we'll start here. I'll try and edit
Okay.
it. I don't know if I can, but rising up to the sky.
Sure, everybody appreciates your voice.
I doubt it. All right, paragraph 5.
Thus the blind define their life and where they live, adjusting to their life as the blind think they must, afraid to lose the little that the blind have that they can see. And so it is with all who see the body as all they have and all their brothers have. They who see the body as being our essence try to reach each other, and they fail and fail again. And they who see the body as being our essence adjust to loneliness, believing that to keep the body is to save the little bit that they have. Listen and try to think, if you remember what we will speak of now. This is going to be an interesting experience.
If you perceive yourself as a body, you're stuck with all the limitations of the body. A Course in Miracles asks that you try to remember that there is another way of perceiving yourself. This other way is still within us. We have chosen to forget the truth. A Course in Miracles states the Holy Spirit will help us remember the truth if we ask.
Listen. Perhaps you catch a hint of an ancient state not quite forgotten, dim perhaps, and yet not altogether unfamiliar, like a song whose name is long forgotten, and the circumstances in which you heard completely unremembered. Not the whole song has stayed with you, but just a little wisp of melody attached not to a person or a place or anything particular. But you remember this ancient state of oneness, which is your true home. From just this little part, how lovely was the song, how wonderful the setting where you heard it, and how you loved those who were there and listened with you. Lee and I have looked at this paragraph for about 2 or 3 days and read it several times. And the idea of finding a melody that just kind of flashes in and out it's the idea of trying to catch a glimpse of something that's moving fast, but you really want to slow it down, but you can't, but it's still there. And it has to do with the memories that are attached to it. And what this book is trying to do here is to help us remember something that happened a long time ago that we have a fleeting connection with, and we want to stabilize that connection. And that is the best way I know to explain what it is we're getting into here. It's very powerful and it takes time. It's really hard to get this idea the first time you hear it.
But you will. The
You
Christ
will.
conscious mind
Go for it.
remembers its true source and identity. Its call hasn't been heard due to the loudness of the ego's voice. So he talks about the decider in our mind, and he talks about the ego, and the ego's screaming emotional tendency usually drowns out that still small voice. The screeching drowns out the still small voice of the Holy Spirit.
Notes, the melody, are nothing. Yet you have kept the remembrance of the voice for truth. These notes with you, not for themselves, but as a soft reminder of what would make you weep if you remembered how dear this song was to you. You could remember, yet you are afraid, believing you would lose the egoic world you learned since then. Kind of like, oh, I have to grow up and be a man and let my ego take over. Well, we know how much that does. And yet, you know that nothing in the egoic world you learned is half so dear as this, the song for the remembrance of God. Listen and see if you remember an ancient song you knew so long ago and held more dear than any egoic melody you taught yourself to cherish since.
When we go within and we silence that voice of the ego, we will hear the call of God and his child's return. If this call to God is heard, we will not desire the egoic world of perception and limitation.
Beyond the body, beyond the sun and stars, past everything you see, and yet somehow familiar, is an arc of golden light that stretches as you look into a great and shining circle. This paragraph would make a great meditation intro. And all the circle fills with light before your eyes. The edges of the circle disappear, and what is in it is no longer contained at all. The light expands and covers everything, extending to infinity, forever shining, and with no break or limit anywhere. Within this golden circle of light, everything is joined in perfect continuity. Nor is it possible to imagine that anything could be outside, for there is nowhere that this light is not.
Jesus attempts to describe the oneness. Nothing is outside and nothing is apart.
This is the vision of the Son of God, whom you know well. Here is the sight of him, the Christ, who knows his Father. Here is the memory of what you are, a part of this, with all of it within, and joined to all, as surely as all is joined in you. A oneness of everything. Accept the vision that can show you this identity of the Christ and not the body. You know the ancient song and know the ancient song well. Everyone has one. Nothing will ever be as dear to you as is this ancient hymn of love the Son of God sings to his Father still.
Even during this apparent separation we are all in, our Christ consciousness is in communication with its creative source, God, our Father, Mother.
And now the blind can see with this vision that we're being given. For that same song they sing in honor of their Creator gives praise to the once blind as well. The blindness that they made will not withstand the memory of this song. And the blind that now see will look upon the vision of the Son of God, remembering who he is they sing of. What is a miracle? But this remembering of the vision of the Son of God. And who is there in whom this memory of the vision of the Son of God lies not? The light in one awakens the light in all. And when you see the light in your brother, you are remembering for everyone that they are the light.
When we choose for the vision of the Holy Spirit's thought system, we see beyond the bodily form of a brother and gaze upon the light of the Christ. The misperception that we are body dissipates. This is replaced by the vision of Christ, which is jointly shared with the entire sonship. Christ's vision brings the remembrance of God and the realization that we are one in the holographic mind of God. There is one shared will, and this is the will of God. So ends the reading for today.
All right.
There we go.
Give us a sneak a sneak look at what the title of next, the responsibility for sight. Once we have this vision, what do we do about it?
Then we can see. Have a great day.